filed a tax return for Brett because because I didn't have to. I didn't have to file an income tax for Brett because Brett has no income tax due. But Elise,
Okay, first we were having a YouTube issue, but now I addressed that. Now I'm going to address the breakout rooms.
From the Highland Park school system. Last year, yeah, whatever it is, okay? So when she requested that, okay, and her lawyer wanted a copy of Brett's income tax because he was trying to stall off the foreclosure on the Highland Park house.
Okay, so.
No, I'm talking about August of 19. No, her foreclosure lawyer. So her foreclosure
I'm going to get an invitation to go into a breakout room. I'm going to ask you to accept it and go to the breakout room.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So her.
All right, this is, let's see, the estate of Bruce Montego James Jr., 19P670. Who's here on this matter today? Anyone? Okay. This is the estate of Jaden Brown. Is anyone here on this matter? Okay. All right. So, Kathy, what do we find out? They're in there. Okay, I'm going to recall the estate of Journey Brown, 19P739.
Yes.
Okay. So, Ms. Brown, you are 100% right. You had filed them, and for some reason they didn't make the file, so thank you. And so tell me a little bit about your circumstances now. Are you in a situation where you can take care of the minor child?
Yes, she's with me. I'm working with her caseworker. He comes and see her. She's in my custody. After my mom passed, she just lives in my custody. Nobody wanted the responsibility of taking care of her.
I'm sorry for your loss of your mother.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm reviewed the petition and the documents in the file. Now I am going to discharge the guardianship, and I'm wishing you the very best. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Have a nice day. In re the estate of Alexis Dellinger. Good morning, Your Honor. Good morning. So, Cynthia.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I have Alexis seated next to me.
Good morning. This is Alexis here.
This is Alexis, yes.
Okay. How old is Alexis?
Alexis is 16.
Cynthia, I am, I did receive your background check.
Yes, ma'am.
I appreciate that your honesty in your original affidavit.
Yes, ma'am.
But I do have some concerns.
Yes, ma'am.
About the drug use and also about the it was as recent as last year.
The case was not as recent as last year, ma'am. I just took a very long time in completing all my treatment and all of my probation and things. The case was actually almost 5 years ago. I just unfortunately was not an adult enough to take care of my things in a rapid time form.
So this disposition date of February 27th of 2019,
Mhm.
that is from a case that,
Was like 5 years prior to it. I just ran on a warrant for a very long time.
so you are carrying very precious cargo.
I am, ma'am. Yes, and I do have some letters with me that I did bring again. I know in the original file, I know I didn't get to give them to you. I have one from her pediatric, well, her primary care doctor. I haven't entered them into the file because I just have them like in my hands. I have one from a former child that I did help raise with a similar circumstance. And then I have one from a teacher of her school and from her social worker at school that I've been in constant contact with. Also, there's been no contact at all with her parents.
So were you on probation then here in Lake County?
I was, ma'am.
Okay. And with whom were you on probation?
I never went to probation. It was a non-reporting probation. I never went to see a probation officer.
And what the status of that probation now is what?
The whole case is discontinued. I've time served.
It's been discharged?
Yes.
Okay, so
I did not go to the IRS and say, okay, I did not go to the IRS and tell my story and say, here, go after her, and then
since Alexis is over 14, she also needs to sign and have notarized. You can have this done at the courthouse.
We just did the petition, the nomination for guardian.
The nomination.
I just did that this morning. It should be, it was in e-filed. We did have it scanned just a few moments ago.
All right. I'm going to also need you to send me all of the rest of those documents by email that you I don't want you to file them. Those other things you're referencing, if I want you to email them.
Okay, to the email you gave before, the CC 201.
Correct.
County. Okay.
So that I can review them.
Okay.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to investigate, because I couldn't tell completely from this background check. I could just see that the most recent contact was February of 2019. I need to do my due diligence to make sure that this.
Oh, no, I completely understand.
Because as I say, you've got some very precious cargo there.
I agree with you 100%, ma'am. And I sincerely hope that my past does not jeopardize this for her, because I am not that person anymore. So.
Because the model that you're setting and the home that she's living in is going to be a dramatic influence, and she's a very tender age. Yes,
she is. And I wish you could see the progress in the years she's been in my home to now. I mean, it's just, she's growing as a child. She's doing things that teenagers should do. She's passing her classes for the first time in ever. She's happy. We're not looking at suicide. We're not, we're following through with all the necessary steps for her.
Where is she in high school?
She's a junior technically. She's got a lot of credit recovery to do. She was homeschooling with her mother, and it was not a good circumstance. Things were not working, but she did pass everything this year, and I believe she's gotten 4 credit recovery classes gone already throughout the summer.
So what school is she associated with in
Grays Lake North High School?
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue the temporary guardianship.
Okay.
I'm going to have you submit this additional documentation. I'm going to do some background investigation into these criminal charges.
Okay.
And then on the next court date, I'm going to ask you to have submitted to me the information about what her current education status is.
Okay.
Very focused on making sure that she's completing what she needs to get that high school diploma.
Yes, ma'am. We are on that.
And then I can make a determination at that time about whether the plenary guardianship, which would be until she was 18, is appropriate or not appropriate.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
All right, so today you're going to e-file the nomination form.
We already did that. That was already done.
You already did it?
Yep.
Okay, so the clerk just handed it to me. It's been printed. That's done.
Yes.
You're gonna email the other documents that you wanted to show me in regard to the other matters that we discussed.
Okay.
And I'm gonna do my background and I'm gonna continue this.
Okay.
To August 14th at 9:00 a.m. And then hopefully we'll be able to fully resolve it on that day, okay?
Thank you so much, Your Honor. We appreciate it. And
Tell Alexis I wish her well, and
I'll let you speak with her real quick. Here.
Alexis, it's nice to see you here this morning. And I see that you have signed that nomination, which has now been part of the court file. And things are going well for you? Okay, so in 2 months, we're going to be back, and I'm interested to know what the status of your high school education is and to make sure that everything's going appropriately in your household. And we want to keep you on the right track, right? Because you've got a bright future. Okay. All right, you take care. We'll be back in court in August. Okay. Let me talk to Cynthia.
Yes, ma'am.
Alexis will not need to be in court on that next court date unless you received an order from me requiring her to come.
All right.
Okay.
And is that going to be Zoom meeting again, probably?
It will, as far as I know at this time, yes.
Okay. All right. Just making sure. All right. Thank you.
All right, have a nice day.
You too.
The motion for insurance.
You don't have to come next time. They don't want you to come.
So.
Okay, I'm recalling, the estate of Emerson Lily Braun.
Hi, Judge.
Okay, so all right, so there was a temporary guardianship to the maternal grandmother that was issued on March 13th, 2020 for the minor child who is now 2 years old. It was continued for notice and birth certificate and background check. And so is the temporary guardian here today? That's Dara Braun.
Dara and John are here. Yes, we're here.
Okay, can I see Dara?
She's logging back in
Okay.
in the other room.
Okay. So.
Sorry, we thought we were back on at 10. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. You're right. The clerk said that.
Okay, sorry.
You're 100% right. You're 100% right.
Oh, okay. Well, she's behind me now.
Okay. So is everyone here then? We can go ahead
Yeah.
if everyone's here. Okay. All right. So what I started to do was just review the history of the case, that there was a guardianship established and that it was a temporary guardianship. It was continued for several things. One was a birth certificate, one was a background check,
Yeah.
and also notice to the parents named on the birth certificate.
Yep, it's all been done.
Do you
We
have
have-
those things?
We have the background check and we have the birth certificate, and yes, they were given notice. Yes.
Okay.
We can
All right,
email.
so
them.
since then, there has been a petition filed by biological father, Michael Graff, asking to vacate the guardianship and to dismiss it. So the guardian is entitled to an opportunity to respond to that petition, which is done in writing. So now you know what they're saying, what their position is. You have an opportunity to respond, and then we have a hearing unless we reached some agreement otherwise in the process.
Well, it looks like there's been a huge change of heart here in this case, Your Honor. We're very confused. We found out through my brother, who talked to the counsel on Michael Graff's side, that the original intent here was to get custody of the child and give the child up for adoption. That was their goal. And we don't believe in that. Okay. Yeah, we have custody of the child. Thanks to you, we have temporary guardianship of this child here in this house where she's been raised for the last 2 years and 3 months. We have also had to get DCFS involved here at the house. We've also had to get the police involved because of the violent behavior of the mother. And we're put in a tough spot here because we had to get into a position where we have to do what's in the best interest of the child and do what's in the best interest of our daughter. So that's why we have a guardianship, an order of protection, and an eviction. It's a very complex case. Many things have been happening here simultaneously.
So I just want to say, first of all, that a guardianship is not an adoption.
Yeah, we understand that.
Proceeding.
Yeah, understand that. Yes.
And so the question before, I don't know whether or not there is any adoption proceeding pending, but that is not before me. The only petitions that are, or the only matters that are before this court today is the guardianship petition. And now it has been consolidated with an emergency order of protection. And the emergency order of protection petitioner was John Braun, and the respondent is Arissa Braun.
Yes.
Are you Arissa Braun?
Yes.
Okay. So you are the respondent. That's, I think, set for hearing. Let's see. So the emergency order of protection has been continued a few times. And so that is, I think, ready for hearing. Are you going to be representing yourself?
No, we don't have counsel today. He had a conflict. He can be available next week.
Okay, so you're asking to continue the order of protection for hearing?
Yes, please.
Okay. And Ms. Braun, are you going to be representing yourself in the order of protection, or are you going to be proceeding on your own behalf?
I would
Or
like.
are you agreeing to the entry of the order of protection?
I do not agree with what has been said about me. Due to COVID, I haven't been able to go out and find proper legal help that I do need. So I asked for 30 days extension so I can get that help and revisit in 30 days.
All right, so if the parties are agreeing to continue the emergency order of protection for purposes of both of you to have counsel present, I can continue it for hearing for that purpose and on the next date, okay? So that's the one.
I would like to see my daughter as well, because I mean, I understand if it needs to be like under watch or something, but I would really like to just see her. I haven't seen her in 3 months. She was just taken.
Okay, so your relationship, Arissa, to the guardian is what? Is that those your parents?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
those are my parents.
Well, I didn't know on which side you were grandparents. I didn't
Okay.
know if you were grandparents
Okay.
on the father's side or the mother's side. Okay. All right.
We would be agreeable to supervised visitations. That's not a problem.
Okay. And so when you say supervised, what does that mean to you?
That means someone has to be appointed as the supervisor. We do not want the child to be left alone with Arissa.
I believe my mom or one of my grandparents is a suitable supervisor. My dad, no.
Okay. And so mom, are you willing to act as a supervisor for some parenting time between Arissa and the child?
Yes.
Okay. And what would be a reasonable place and time for that to take place?
On the weekend, in the afternoon, maybe at a park.
Okay.
Is that okay with you, Arissa?
Yes.
Okay. So do you want to start this weekend, tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay. And what hours would work for you? Grandma, I'm trying to think of your name is.
Dara.
I'm sorry?
Dara?
Dara.
Yes.
What time would you be available?
Well, she usually naps in the afternoon, so morning would be best. Anytime after 10, between 10 and 12.
Okay, and I don't know where you live or where Arissa lives, so is there a place that would be convenient, appropriate, that you could meet?
Would it be okay if we put a playground in front of our house?
No, I don't feel comfortable with that. I would be comfortable going to, which one? Water Spray Park, in Buffalo Grove. Willow Stream.
It's the park.
The park in front of the house is, I'm not comfortable with this because.
Okay, what is the place that you are proposing? Just tell me what it is and where it is, what's called and where it is.
How about Spring Lake Park in Lincolnshire?
Okay, so I'm not familiar with it. Is there a place where there'd be shelter in the event that the weather was not appropriate to be?
Yes, there is.
There is?
Yes.
Okay, so it's Spring Lake Park and you said in what town?
Lincolnshire, Illinois.
And Dara, can you make that work from 10 to 12 at Spring Lake Park in Lincolnshire?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, and so then are we going to say that that will be every Saturday until we change that order?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. Okay. In regard to the guardianship, so Dara, are you going to be having an attorney represent you in regard to the guardianship also?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to give you an opportunity to respond to these new petitions that have been filed to vacate the guardianship. And then we're going to have a hearing on that on the next court date.
Okay.
Right now, I'm going to continue the temporary guardianship until we can have that. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So the order of protection, Your Honor, is still in place, and so is the temporary guardianship. Yes?
Correct. It's a temporary guardianship. It's going to stay in place till the next court date. You're going to have an opportunity to respond to the new petitions to vacate the guardianship. And then in regard to the order of protection, although these cases have now tied together, they're separate.
Hey, could you actually wait a minute on that? My attorney's coming back on. She would like to address that.
Sure. I didn't know we lost her.
Mhm.
Is that for your
Okay, then I'm going to pass this and call another case. In re the estate of Tinsley Wolbrink.
Yes,
Good morning, Your Honor. This is Jessica Malmquist. I was the volunteer speaking.
Thank you. Good morning, Ms. Malmquist. Thank you for your assistance today.
Your Honor, we were missing from the, well, first, Tracy filed a petition for her granddaughter for possession or guardianship of her granddaughter. She did not notice up mom. And so we have given her the documentations for a notice of motion, also an affidavit of mailing. She now has a copy of the request for a birth certificate she's going to be requesting. She has a copy of the oath of office that she can complete if needed. And she is going to sign up for a background check as soon as possible. I was having a hard time hearing her because of some other people in the law library. So I know I missed a bit of the background, but it appears that daughter's boyfriend is at issue, but she does know where both daughter and granddaughter are at this time.
Oh, so the minor is not currently residing with the petitioning guardian, with you, Tracy, is that right?
Yes, she is back with me now.
And so is mom, is that correct, right?
Yes, but since the DCFS listed the safety plan, I believe they'll probably be leaving this evening to go to Merrill, Wisconsin.
So there's no safety plan currently in effect?
Just ended yesterday, and DCFS is referring that it go to the court system because my daughter refused to do any treatment or work any programs. She's already in Lake County, but they wanted her to do more, and she refused that because then she couldn't go to Wisconsin.
Okay, so there's been no notice. We don't have a birth certificate. So today I'm not going to be entering a temporary guardianship.
No,
I figured that.
I'm going to continue it, and then you're going to gather this information, and on the next court date, we can make a determination of what the status is and make sure that everyone's been given proper notice, and then we can address those issues. But you know where both mother and father are to send notice to them?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So.
Yes, this was actually, when I filed this, Your Honor, it was beginning of March, and I had no contact with my daughter or the baby for a month. In DCFS, they were not returning phone calls, so the baby didn't have her 2-month shots or 4-month shots, all that. Since she came back in March and I got DCFS there, and I did not call DCFS, it was from the hospital. She's updated on her shots and everything, so everything is in place. But, you know, they're looking to get to Wisconsin so that they don't have to be held accountable here in Illinois. That's the bottom line. And I just wanted like my own safety plan because I have custody of her son who's 8 years old. I have guardianship of him for, it was a year in February because she had left up to Wisconsin and that and not come back, and he was with us. So I do have guardianship of him. If something should happen to my daughter or if she you know, fights or anything, I just want something in place that, yes, I would take care of Kinsley. You know, she doesn't have to go into the system or anything like that, that I'm there for her.
Okay.
Mine,
all right.
if you
So
will.
I'm going to continue it. I'm going to continue it to July 17th at 9:00 a.m. for hearing on your petition for guardianship, and we'll address all the issues at that time. But we'll make sure that that notice has been given to the parents and that we have all the information that we need for me to make an assessment of whether guardianship is appropriate. Okay.
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 Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Leland brought it to me, the background check, and she sent them back to the law library.
Okay, have we called this or?
I don't know who. 22175.
Oh, you already heard it. Yeah, I've got the background. She's, this is fine.
Yeah, because she was pregnant here, so she brought it to me.
I'm gonna just be entering an order on that. We're all set. Okay. All right, I'm recalling Jaden Brown. Recalling Bruce Montego James Jr., 19P670. Recalling Jariah Howard, 19P625. Which one?
670
okay.
and 669.
State of Amir Callahan. Estate of Sebastian Gutierrez. Estate of Maria Martinez. And the estate of Ruth Sanger. Okay. All right. So for our help desk and Ms. Malmquist, thank you so much for your assistance. I think that's the only case that I had that you can assist with, but I really do appreciate your help.
Not a problem.
Kind of a crazy morning, but we seem to be plowing through it. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Okay, so back to the Braun matter. Has counsel returned?
Yeah, is that her? I think she was waiting to be let in.
Yes.
Okay, good morning again, Ms. Desana. So I think I didn't realize that you weren't back. I thought everyone was back and we started to talk about, okay, so I'm just going to review what we talked about.
Okay, it's
Really,
okay.
we're mostly talking about the order of protection, which does not involve your client. Okay, so in regard to the order of protection, the order of protection is going to be continued for hearing, but there is going to be a by agreement parenting time schedule on a weekend basis for 2 hours in the interim. In regard to the petition for guardianship, Dara Braun has indicated that she is also going to be retaining counsel. I'm going to grant them an opportunity to respond to the new pleadings, to terminate and vacate the guardianship. And then I'm going to set that for hearing on the next court date. I'm also hoping that in the interim, Dara, when your attorney files his or her appearance, that he or she is going to be in contact with Ms. Desana so that you can see if there's any opportunity to maybe find some resolution. If not, we will at least know more narrowly what the issues are going to be for hearing.
Okay, I would like to make a change to the supervision and request that we meet at the Lincolnshire Police Station before going to the park, just because since there's been an order of protection in place and Arissa's past violent behavior, I don't feel comfortable going to the park with just her and Emerson. I would prefer that we meet at the police station and then head to the park.
So I don't know what you mean by that. So you meet, first of all, the police departments really are not supposed to be involved in supervising these types of matters. And so they're not going to come with you to the park.
Just to meet at the police
Okay,
station.
you know what? If this is gonna be such a problem, and if you guys are really gonna say that you don't feel comfortable with me seeing her out in public in a park with my mother, then I don't want to do the visitations then, because it just seems it's getting too complicated and it's unnecessary, these lengths to go.
So I'm not going to order that about the police department. But so either we have an agreement or we don't in regard to the.
The agreement was that we would meet at Spring Lake Park in Lincolnshire.
I understand that. So are you in agreement with the original terms, Dara, or not?
Yes.
Okay. So it's going to be beginning tomorrow, 10 a.m. till 12 a.m. at Spring Lake Park in Lincolnshire.
Yes.
Everybody is going to be on their very best behavior. And most importantly, because despite what is going on between mother and daughter, there is an innocent child at the center of this. And if you think for 1 minute that that child, as small as that child is, does not know or take on the emotions of the people around, I can assure you, you are wrong. So there will be no raising of voices. There will be no inappropriate activity on either side by either person, not physical, not by words, not by raised tones, because this child does not deserve to be in that situation under any circumstances. Okay, so I am relying on the fact that everybody is going to put the best interests of this child ahead of their own anger at each other about issues that are not related, okay? And we're gonna, I can assure you, I'm ultimately gonna get to the bottom of what is going on, and I'm going to address it. But for right now, in between today and that time, this is an opportunity for this child to have a peaceful, lovely contact with mother. And this is not about the emotions or the anger between the adults. Do not let that enter into this, okay? Do I have your word on that, Dara?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes.
And Arissa, do I have your word on that?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to give you an opportunity to respond to those pending pleadings that have been filed, and then I'm going to set it for further hearing. Let's see. To July 24th. And that's going to be at 10 o'clock a.m. so that I can get through the most of the call and we can address the issues as we need to.
Okay.
So, Dara,
and that's hearing on our motions, Judge? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
You identify your attorney, you're going to need to get these new pleadings to your attorney as soon as possible because they're going to need time to prepare the response.
He has them.
Pardon me?
He has them.
Okay. And then send it to counsel and then be prepared for hearing on the next court date. I'm also hopeful that in the interim, the attorneys are going to have an opportunity to talk to each other to see if there might be some opportunity to reach some agreement in these, either on a temporary or a more permanent basis. Okay.
Okay.
Judge, how long of a response time are we doing?
28 days.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor.
10 o'clock a.m. Okay, and then the order of protection is going to be set over for that same date and time. I'm hoping that we'll be able to make some progress at resolution on that also. All right, so this is what I want to remind everybody here. I realize that emotions are running high, but at the center of this is Emerson, the most important person here. And so everybody else is going to have to kind of put aside some of your own anger and high emotion and start focusing on the fact that this is all about an innocent child. Right. All right. So, and we're gonna get there. We're gonna get this sorted out, and we're gonna find the right resolution for Emerson. But in the meantime, I need adults to behave like adults. Okay. All right. You'll receive a copy of the order that I will prepare. Thank you.
Judge, are you preparing the order for the probate too, or do I need to do that?
You know, would you prepare that for the probate?
Absolutely.
And it's going to be July 24th, 10 o'clock a.m. And then you're going to submit it to the email address to Kathy's attention, and then it'll be distributed to everybody. Okay.
Thank you.
Wait, can I just ask one more thing, Your Honor? When do we ask for a guardian ad litem to represent the child?
Well, you can file a motion asking for a guardian ad litem to be appointed, or the court can on its own motion determine. I mean, at the next court date, I might make a determination that that's appropriate.
Oh, okay.
But at this moment in time, I kind of want everybody to simmer down a bit. I want your attorney to have an opportunity to review the pleadings. I want the attorneys to have an opportunity to talk to each other, see if you might reach some agreement. If we can't, then there's a very real possibility that I would appoint a guardian ad litem. And I'll explain to everyone what that is. It's an attorney that the court appoints that's not on anybody's side except Emerson's. Yes. And does an investigation outside the courthouse. It's considered the eyes and ears of the court. So I can't go out and see what's going on in the respective homes. This is an attorney who does that investigation and then comes back and reports to the court and makes recommendations about the best interests of this child. Okay. At this moment in time, I can feel how high the emotions are running. I think we need to calm everybody down a little bit. There's going to be additional expense involved in the appointment of a guardian ad litem. So to the extent that it's not necessary, I don't want to rush to that. Also, once we identify what the real issues are, if we do need a guardian ad litem, I can direct that guardian ad litem, the scope of that investigation specifically to what the issues are, which is going to make it less time consuming, more efficient, and less costly. Okay.
Good.
All right. Thank you. Good question though.
All right. All right. Thank you, Your
Thank
Honor.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Thanks, Judge.
Okay, Ms. Pearson, I see that you're back again. I
Yes.
received the copy of the report of the background check.
Yes.
And so I'm going to be entering the order and you are all set.
Thank you so much. I
Thank you very
appreciate
much. Have a nice
it.
day.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, so I think we've addressed everybody. All right.
Hey, Dan, how's it going?
Hey, Jack, how are you?
Not bad. You got the pandemic beard going there, huh?
I do. Well, we have a second. I wanted to, I just got off the phone this morning with the individual at the treasurer's office that I'm dealing with.
Uh-huh.
I am going to ask for one additional continuance. They're requesting that I have a claim form signed. Do you have the estate's EIN? They're asking for that just to be included on the claim form that would be signed by my client, who's the attorney, in fact.
Let me see if I can find it.
I told them that you might have to go digging a little bit since it's an older file.
Yeah, it might take me 40 seconds instead of 30 seconds.
Good morning, gentlemen. I'm just going to interrupt you for a minute. I love that you're talking to each other, but I just want to remind you that this is on YouTube. So I don't know if you want to be broadcasting an EIN or social security number. So
thanks, John.
You might want to just find it and transmit it by another method. But
okay, thank you.
Are you ready for this to be called? Is there anybody else coming or?
No, nobody else is coming.
Okay, so let's.
Good morning, Judge. How are you?
Good morning. I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing okay. As I was
Happy
just
Juneteenth.
Yes.
Yes,
I was just telling Mr. Rickman, I spoke, one of the complications to this case, everybody seems to be in agreement with the petition, but I'm working with the treasurer's office to effectuate making sure that everything is in order before we proceed. The issue is these heirs live overseas. Mm-hmm. And so I was speaking with Jennifer Olea, who is one of the individuals at the treasurer's office. She is going to be providing me with a revised claim form that they would like executed in conjunction with whatever orders this court would enter. And so what I was going to ask Your Honor today is if we could enter and continue this petition for a date that is convenient for the court, probably about 30 days out or further, whatever is easiest for the court.
Okay, so Mr. Rickman, you don't have any objection to that?
I don't have any objection. I guess I would ask counsel if I even need to be present, if he needs me for anything in the future, if that could be noted in the order that I have no objection or whatever. Your Honor, my client is deceased, so I'm really here as a courtesy to Mr. Kaminsky because I don't have any authority to act in any way in this case.
So yeah, this case was previously administered by Mr. Rickman and his client, and at the close of it, the funds that were for the unknown paternal heirs were placed on deposit.
So I have no problem setting it out for whatever time frame you think would be reasonable to get that accomplished. And if everybody is in agreement and there's no objection, it could even be submitted to me by email in advance of the date for entry and to avoid an appearance, assuming everybody's been noticed and there's no objection or there is an agreement.
Sure, that would be great. And what I'll do is once I get everything in order with the treasurer's office, I'll submit the agreed orders to Mr. Rickman. And then there is one other individual entitled to notice, Mr. Rice of the state's attorney's office.
Yes.
Who, has indicated their office does not have any objection either, but I will circulate proposed agreed orders to them for entry.
All right, so you tell me what you think would be more than enough time to get it accomplished.
Judge, do you anticipate this procedure staying in place for the time being, the ability to submit the agreed orders?
I do.
Then why don't I take a 60-day date? That'll give me more than enough time. And in the interim, if we get the agreement within the next week or so, I'll circulate the agreed orders and strike that date.
All right, so let's say August 17th.
Okay.
At 9:00 a.m. in 201. But, obviously I'm expecting to hear from you sooner. And then on that next date, if you would just include language striking the August 17th date if the order's entered.
And I did want to also bring to your attention, the clerk's office generated two dates for this matter. It's also set for next Tuesday for status at 9 a.m. And
Let's
I was
going today.
Yeah. So okay. I will, do I just circulate the proposed order to the CC 201?
Correct. So circulate it, send it to CC 201, send it to the attention today only for this court, to Kathy with a K, Kathy. And then hopefully I won't see you in August, nothing personal.
Problem at all. No, I appreciate it, Judge. So I will prepare that order right now. Jack, I'll leave out that you guys have and that no need to appear. I'll put that in the next order, agreed order, if that's okay with you.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thanks.
So, Miss Adams, good morning. I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself so I can hear you. There you go.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning to you. How are you?
I'm blessed. I'm hanging on in there.
Good. What's the name of your case?
Pardon me, ma'am?
What's your case name and number?
Okay, I just left the paper. Wait, give me 1 second. I just had set the paper down. I was going outside because the kids is in the house, and so I wanted to kind of just get out of their earshot. Okay. All right. All right. The case number.
I think I found it.
Yeah, I did. The case number is 19P18.
Got it. Okay, so let me take a look.
Okay.
Okay, so Jessica had filed a petition to discharge you, the maternal grandmother. And at that time, the biological father, Paul, was also present, and we had some testimony, and it was continued for further hearing and then continued again and again because of the court closure.
Yes.
So let me find out, is a minor child, or is it 3 children with you?
Yes, ma'am. It's 3. Yes,
and
Your
they're
Honor.
all still with you?
They're all still with me.
And everything's going okay?
Well, you set up visitation for me and them because of the way things were going. You know, the father was calling the oldest one, which is a boy, telling him that he didn't have to respect me or no other woman. And that's kind of where we started falling out at. And then he had the boy, the oldest one, calling the mama name, calling her bees and stuff. And I just told him I was very disrespectful. And so we stopped seeing eye to eye. And so you set the visitation up at the visitation center. We all had to go for orientation. The mother never signed up. She never signed up.
Hold on. What case there's some new people coming into the courtroom. It says Darche Scott. What case are you on?
I don't know the case number, but it's for the custody, I guess, hearing for the mother.
What's the child?
Rance James and Jaden Brown.
Okay, it's not this case. Okay, I'm going to ask you to go back on mute, and I'm going to continue hearing the case that I was talking. All right, so go ahead, Odessa.
Okay, so yeah, so you set the visitation up for the visitation center. The father has showed up. The mother never registered. She never did orientation. She haven't even seen the kids since long before March, because she's still running around, Your Honor. You know, she's still doing, her drugs and drinking and stuff.
Okay, so how about Paul Wilson? Has he been doing visitation?
He has came. He has been there. He got sick with the coronavirus, so that took a couple of weeks away. Then I got sick, and that took a couple of weeks away. Then now the youngest one got sick, so now that take a couple of weeks away. Now the other daughter is showing signs or symptoms of it, so they won't let us come into the visitation center to. But he have, my mother just passed away on the 3rd, And we buried on the 9th. So he did come to the funeral. He seen the kids, at the funeral and at my mother's repast, so I didn't withhold that from him. But the mother never showed up. So, which is my daughter, Jessica.
Yes,
She never.
yes. So, well, she isn't here to proceed with her petition to discharge, so I'm going to deny the petition to discharge. As far as the continuing of the visitation at the visitation center, I'm going to terminate that for your daughter because she hasn't participated in it at all. The only question for me is whether it should be continued for Paul at this time. Do you have any contact with him directly in terms of like an ability to, if he wanted to see the kids, that he could see them?
Well, no, because Paul, I'm just gonna put it like this. He's very arrogant, and he's really upset because the mother don't want him. She left him, and that I have the kids. The whole thing. She didn't even file the petition. Actually, he filed it, but he made her come to court. You seen when she came, she was late, she was high, she was all over the place. So she just said she don't want nothing else to do with the kid. Paul, me and him, because when he's always questioning him about me and my home, and there ain't nobody in my home but me and him, and my business, and I keep telling him, the oldest one, I'm really having a really hard problem with because he keep getting it. He calls them and tell them stuff about he don't have to respect me, and when you do that kind of stuff, he has to live with me, and he's gonna respect me. He don't have a choice. And any other woman, you should never tell a child that. So I'm having. I would probably prefer that we continue through the visitation center. I would. It would be nice if me and him could just do it one-on-one, but he ain't gonna act right. He ain't gonna do right.
So the problem is I can't just leave it open at the family visitation center. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to deny the petition to discharge the guardianship. I'm going to terminate the order at the family visitation center. If he wants to come back into court and ask that it be reinstated, then I certainly will, consider that at that time. But for right now, I'm just going to, I'm going to terminate that order.
Okay.
The guardianship's going to stay in effect. So you're going to get I'm going to prepare an order. You're going to get a copy of that. Okay.
Okay.
All right, I wish you well. Take care of those children, please.
I will, ma'am. Yes, I will. So what do I do about this visitation? Just whenever, whatever? We'll just figure it out.
I mean, if you're asking me to continue this order.
No, don't continue it. We'll work it out.
All right, so if you can't work it out, then he's going to have to come back to court and ask for a new order at the family visitation center. But I can't just leave it open because those spots are very in high demand, and they can't just leave it open when people aren't coming,
Right. I understand. I get it. So, okay, that's fine. That's fine.
All right, so I'm going to prepare these 3 orders, and I will, a copy will be sent to you either by email or by mail, but right now the guardianship stays in effect.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Yana. Well. Have a nice day.
All right, God bless you. Bye-bye.
Okay, so Deshae Scott, now tell me again, you are on, do you have a case number?
I don't know the case number. I can look it up for you.
Okay, the child's name again is?
Jaden Brown and Rance James. Jaden is Jayden, Brown BRWE.
I got Jaden Brown.
And then the second one is Rance REUS James.
Okay. All right, so there was an order entering a plenary guardianship that was entered back in September of 2019 in regard to both of these children.
Yes.
Since that time, I don't see any filings. What's your relationship to these children?
I'm their godmom and I'm their mom friend.
And you are the current guardian?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you receive some kind of notice that something had been filed?
Okay, so this what happened. April, we supposed to went to court, but with this pandemic that was going on, they changed the court. I didn't know that I was supposed to went to court until I got a letter from the judge from the courthouse telling me the date was changed to another date. Then they changed it again. I didn't make this appeal. I didn't appeal nothing. The mom did, so I don't know why she's not in here.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah.
So Kathy, I'm going to ask you to look and see if there was, this might be another case where the filings didn't make the file. I'm just checking something. Shay, I'll be back with you in a minute.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you have the numbers.
Just in case.
19P670.
No. I just need them.
Nothing since then.
No, and this is Dale.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I think what happened is that the bio mother may have contacted the clerk's office and said she was going to file a motion to discharge the guardian, but she never actually filed the paperwork and never sent notice to you. But because a court date was set, then they kept continuing it because of all the COVID closings. But there's no petition currently on file to terminate the guardianship or do anything else. So I'm going to prepare a court order saying that that you were here, that no one else appeared, that there's no petitions pending before the court, and taking it off call. So the guardianship will remain in full force and effect.
Okay, thank you. Also, can I say something?
10P670. Yeah.
Nothing.
Oh wait, 70 and 669. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Never mind.
No. Go ahead. The clerk was asking me something.
Okay, I'm having problems with the mothers also. So that's the reason what made her call and petition herself to court. I've been giving her like chances after chances of like calling them and stuff like that. So she's like manipulating them or something like that. I don't know how to pronounce the word, sorry. She's like, when she do call them, it'd be like 3-4 months in apart. She only seen them ever since I had them, 3 times. And then the 4th time, I think she came is because she thought she had court. And when she was here, she was like, oh, you're going to come home. I'm going to buy you this. Like, you know how someone brag a kid by doing something?
Yeah.
So that's.
Here's the thing. You are currently given legal authority to care for these children, make decisions about their health and welfare and education and all of those things. You're in charge.
Yeah, but she don't understand that. She cursed me out every time. She attacked me all the time.
So
I can tell.
If there's something that you want to, in addition to that power, if there's something that you are specifically asking me to do or to order, then you have to file a motion with the court and you have to give her notice so that she has an opportunity to respond, and then I can hear the motion. But
okay.
Otherwise, the order that's in effect currently is staying in full force and effect. So you currently have the legal authority to make decisions for these children and to use good common sense and behave like an adult and be a good model for these kids and protect them from things that are inappropriate and expose them to things that are appropriate. But beyond that, if you're asking me to do something specific or enter some specific order, you have to put it in writing. You've got to file it with the court and you've got to give notice to the other side. It's the same thing if she were to come in here and ask me to do something without you knowing what it is she was asking me to do, or without you having a chance to be here with us and have this conversation. I wouldn't do it because it wouldn't be, you wouldn't have had a chance to respond. So, so that's the process we have to follow in every case.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
But I am going to enter an order just like keeping the current guardianship in full force and effect. And you're going to give me your word. You're going to keep taking good care of those kids, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Nice to see you. Have a nice day.
You too. Now, how do you hang up? You leave right there. Thank you.
Okay. Yes. I think